radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Good evening, Fade to Black, Bespoke Radio for the masses. That's right. It's Tuesday, January 30th, and here we are. We're closing in on episode 800. I said I wouldn't say anything till we got to 1,000, but 800's got a good ring to it. And tonight, well, first off, we had a sighting. Yeah, we had a sighting tonight. I'm going to get to that in just a second. It's 30 days into the new year, 335 days left. It is Tuesday, January 30th. And I bring that up because of the moon outside is huge up top. We are live from a bunker somewhere in downtown Burbank, California, and I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States, hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the Planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? Unbelievable. We just had a sighting tonight, and I've got to say, it was pretty extraordinary, and I'm going to tell everybody about it. Now, the reason why, I need some time here to set this up right, but yeah, it was pretty extraordinary. An actual sighting. We'll get to that in just a bit. Tonight, our guest is Tracy Austin of the Tracy Austin Show, and her life in radio and television and what she does with the paranormal and her show, the award-winning show, Let's Talk Paranormal. And she's now a host with us over here at KGRA, and she's got a show, the Tracy Austin Show. But what inspired her to do this is what we're going to talk about tonight, because she had those things that change people's lives. Had some extraordinary daytime sightings and other things, too, as well. And we're going to get to all of that and everything in the world of the supernatural and the paranormal. So buckle up, kiddies. It's going to be a really good show tonight. So kick back and enjoy. Tomorrow night, Dr. Stephen Greer is here. He's back to talk about some new witnesses that have come forward to USAPs in the military-industrial complex. So we'll be talking about that tomorrow night. He has been out there waving the disclosure flag for many, many years, and the disclosure is happening right now. So Dr. Stephen Greer tomorrow night, we'll be talking about all of that. Thursday night is another Fader night in the No More Fake Newsroom with John Rappaport, followed by open lines all night long. The call-in numbers are 323-825-5045 or 323-275-9695. And I would also like to open up the phones a little bit later with Tracy, so we will do that as well. You can follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio, at JChurchRadio, simple. Facebook, YouTube, everything is Fade to Black, JChurch Radio. You can go now, follow, like, and subscribe. Go to the website, click on those little buttons right there. What do they call those these days? I don't know. Buttons. click on those and follow, like, and subscribe. If you want to join in on the Sandbox, use hashtag F2B. That's what we do for the Sandbox. And every single night that we do this show, every single night, we do somewhere between, I'm going to guess here, I don't know, 1,000 to 3,000 tweets go down in the Sandbox with the audience live in real time discussing the show and other things. So come and hang out with us, hashtag F2B. It's very simple. Also, if you have any questions or comments during the show tonight or any other night for myself and our guest tonight, Tracy Austin, just use the hashtag F2BQ, and that will F2BQ, Fade to Black questions, F2BQ, and it'll pop up right in front of me. Okay? Now we have 2 chat rooms open over at Spreaker and KGRA. Okay, if Twitter isn't your thing. And if Twitter isn't your thing and a chat room isn't your thing, I get this all the time, then shoot me an email, Jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. Okay? All right, the Numanna special, by the way, thank you to everybody that is jumping in, as you should. The Numanna special for you Fader Knots ends tomorrow night. So this is what's going on. And look, I've just spent all of my spare time over the last week shipping autographed T-shirts. It's been out of control, and especially this last 24, 48 hours, because the special ends tomorrow night. The promo code is Jimmy10. Jimmy, Jimmy, the number 10, Jimmy10, all one word, Jimmy10. Use that. Click on the Numanna banner over at jimmychurchradio.com. That will take you to our landing page over at Numanna. The promo code is Jimmy10. Do that, and you will get 10% off of your order and free shipping and an autographed Fade to Black T-shirt on any order over $100. It's the best deal on the net. There is nothing else out there like this for Numanna, and it's right here on Fade to Black for you Fader Knots. It ends tomorrow night. All right, you've always wanted a T-shirt. You've always wanted to feel safe with your family and yourself in the event of an emergency, and you've always wanted a good deal, right? You've always wanted free shipping. You've always wanted the best tasting food, right? You don't want GMOs. You don't want MSG. You want it made in America. There you go, right? Numanna. Right now, promo code Jimmy10 will get you all of that. Okay? It ends tomorrow night. Okay, it's coming down. It's coming down to the wire. Our next event will be the Conscious Life Expo next week, February 9th through the 12th, 2018, at the LAX Hilton. Tickets and info over at jimmychurchradio.com. Just click on the Conscious Life Expo banner right there. We have a full weekend of events coming up. We have 3 of our sponsors that are going to be there, Life Change Tea, River Moon Coffee, and New Pharma are all going to be there. I'll be hosting all weekend long, lots of events happening. Come on out and hang out. Tickets are very, very inexpensive. And this Thursday, Serena Wright-Taylor is going to be here to tell us about some of those events going down at the Conscious Life Expo. And this is the deal. I was talking to her today. I didn't realize this. Every year they expect this year again, between 12 and 15,000 people. 12,000 to 15,000. That's how massive this event is. And when I tell you that when you walk in the door, and for you to be able to get, tickets aren't $500. They're not. And so go and pick the event. It's kind of a la carte. Just get your little day pass, whatever that is, $35, $25, $35. I think it's $20. It's discounted right now. And so I think it is. But go to the website. It's so inexpensive that you can go in and hang out, tons of free stuff to go and do. You can occupy yourself all day. But the other thing, and it's great about this, is it's a la carte. So, you want to go to this event, you want to go to this event and this event, have one event a day, boom, you're done, you're in and out, and you can go see your favorite speakers and authors and researchers and come and hang out with us. So that's coming up very, very quickly. February 9th through the 12th. Next Friday, it kicks off. And then on June 1st through the 4th, 2018, we will be at Contact in the Desert in Indian Wells, Palm Springs at the Renaissance Resort and Spa. I think their early bird pricing ends tomorrow night as well. So go and get your tickets for Contact in the Desert. We only do a few events every year, and these are the main ones right now. Come and hang out with us. And then on, I think, February 4th, I was told today, we're going to make the big grand splash and announcement for our conference, the Fade to Black conference that we're going to be doing up at ECETI Ranch in August. Very, very, very limited tickets there. And more on this February 4th. We'll do the premiere on that. Okay. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. Now, the podcast is there for those that need it. It is just $2 a month. $2 a month. Over 795 archive shows, custom apps, Apple, Android, all platforms, just $2 a month. Go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the podcast banner, and go to the Google store, the Apple store, whatever you need, download it, head back over to Libsyn and sign up and get it. It's very simple, very easy to use. The archives are right there, and it's just $2 a month. Help support the show. All right, you can also become a Fade or Not over at our membership section on the site. You can get a Bunker Cam commercial-free downloadable archives. And if you get the Game Changer, you can even get your own Fade to Black ear, autographed hats, all that stuff. I said last night we had something to announce. You know what? I'm just going to do it right now. We don't have it set up yet. But ladies, we have ladies' T-shirts now. Okay? And Rita right now just blew a gasket. What are you doing? We don't have them up on the website. You know what? I want them up on the website. So we're going to get them up on the website. We've just got to get it all set up. But we have them now. Small, medium, and large. And they're amazing, too. Oh, what I wanted to say was this. So if you want a ladies' T-shirt, whatever we're charging for the regular T-shirts, we've got to figure out a way to get those in order. Maybe by tomorrow we'll have them up. Why don't you guys hold off, and then we'll have it up on the website tomorrow, and you can order your ladies' T-shirts, okay? All right? They're black. They're the same as the men's, just ladies. I wanted to say this about our T-shirts and our hats, too. Our hats and our T-shirts. Our T-shirts are hand silk screened, front and back. These aren't mass-ordered T-shirts that you get off the web and they're made by some computer and some machine. No. Our shirts are hand silk screened. High-quality shirts with high-quality multiple coating, just hand silk screened, beautiful, beautiful shirts. They're beautiful. And you don't get this kind of quality out there anymore. Real people making shirts. And that's what this, and they're made right here in Burbank. And I go and I visit our printers all the time, and I go and I see them making the shirts and the hats, and, our hats are embroidered by hand on a machine. And I watch them do, it's just like crazy, the quality that we have here. And anybody that has the Fade to Black ear will tell you, it's like, oh my, this is the real stuff, and we do that for you. I mean, we have just been so, I've rejected T-shirts. I've rejected the quality. It's got to be hand silk screened, thick, nice, beautiful ink. It just has to be that way, and that's what these are. Just like you had in the high school back in the 70s. You know what I'm talking about? All right, River Moon Coffee. All right, where am I at? Yeah, you got to get the T-shirts. We'll have the new ones up, and we'll get everything going tomorrow. Let's get this show cracking. Happy birthday to today, Phil Collins, the man. Phil Collins, 67 years old. Phil Collins. What's your favorite Phil Collins song? Where do you go when you go Phil Collins? Do you go Genesis or do you go Phil Collins, right? You know, because you got In the Air Tonight, right? You got the drums, air drums, right? You got that. But what about some of those Genesis tunes like Down by the Sea, right? Land of Confusion, Mama, right? Some amazing Genesis things. So I don't know. I don't know where to go with that. But happy birthday, Phil Collins. Today is 67. Gene Hackman today is 88. And it's really weird because Gene Hackman's career is extraordinary. It's absolutely extraordinary. But for some reason, the Royal Tenenbaums comes to mind. But there's The French Connection, which for many, many years, I thought that was the greatest film ever made. I thought it was better than The Godfather for a while. Then I got my senses back. But The French Connection, The Birdcage, right? And then you got Get Shorty. Gene Hackman, and he's been in so many films, and it's a very, very tough list. But look at that. Tenenbaums, French Connection, Birdcage, Get Shorty. Gene Hackman today is 88. On this day in history, OTD, 1948, Gandhi is assassinated in New Delhi by a Hindu fanatic. On this day in 1948, Fader fact. Okay, now here we go. Now, when I do the Fader facts, I want you to understand something, okay? When I do the Fader facts, these are vetted. So I want you to listen to me right now. The speed of the wind has fallen 60% in the last 30 years. And that is a Fader fact. Tonight, very special guest, Tracy Austin, is here. The Tracy Austin Show right here on KGRA. Tomorrow night, Dr. Stephen Greer. He is back to talk, to talk about new witnesses with USAPs in the military-industrial complex. And then Thursday night is another Fader night. No More Fake Newsroom with John Rappaport, followed by Open Lines. Call-in numbers are 323-825-5045 or 323-275-9695. Now, we just had a sighting. Yep. This is what happened. We were up top from the bunker. We're up top because we wanted to go and look at the moon. And tonight and tomorrow night is supposed to be the biggest. It's going to be the biggest and brightest in 150 years, right? So, you want to witness that. And here, just like any place else, it gets dark and we have very limited time. Normally, the show starts at 7 o'clock, and at 6:30, I'm down in the bunker, getting ready for the show. Rita's like, no, you got to come with me. Let's go up and look at the moon. I said, okay. So we go. She's taking pictures. She took some pictures from her car and so forth. And I was like, okay, all right. So I go up, and I'm looking up at the moon. And I'm like, wow, that's really cool. And all I did was this. I glanced. Now, we were facing, let me get my bearings straight. That would be north. So I was facing east. We were facing east. The moon is up above us. The direction we were at, the moon's like at 1 o'clock. It's just like just slightly in front of us and slightly to the right. And so I glance up, and there was no clouds. There were some clouds in front of the moon, but up above us, there wasn't any clouds. And so I glance up, and I went, wow, okay, we don't have any clouds tonight. And I look at, and then I see this up opposite from the moon, so I would say nearly at 12 o'clock, straight above me, a huge bright star, big bright star, which you never see in Burbank. And I think to myself as I look, and I say to Rita, I go, wow, check that out. That's bright. And I went to feel into my pocket for my phone because I was going to grab my star app, right? And I wanted to see what star or planet that was. I thought, man, that's just extraordinarily bright. And I look back at it, and I don't have my phone. I left it down in the bunker. I was like, oh, crap. And so I go, and I look again. I'm like, Rita, check that out. And now I see that it's moving. And it's moving to the north, and it's, decent clip. It moved a few inches, and it's moving. And as we are looking at it, it dies out. It just goes from bright flashlight, just bright, and it goes, and it took about maybe 3 to 5 seconds. It was a down ramp. It wasn't like a light switch. It kind of ramped down and went to a faint pin light and kept going, and it kept going, lasted about, I'm going to guess and say 15 seconds, and it probably moved, I'm guessing, in the sky, holding my arm out 6 inches, 8 inches in the sky at my arm fully extended. And then at the end of that, it disappeared. How cool is that? Right there. Now, with all of the times that I've talked about these nights, out sky watching, night vision, you've got to try it. You got to do it. And you've got to go out to the desert and you got to go out to Joshua Tree, because when we go back to Burbank, we're always looking up at the skies and we never see anything. But you go out to the desert and you look up and you see these things and they're everywhere and it's crazy. And you just know that there's stuff going on out there. But when we go back to Burbank, we're always looking up in the sky. We never see anything. Tonight, it happened. And it's rare. See, now, as we were looking, after it disappeared, I'm looking up in the sky, straight up. This is 10 minutes before the show, 15 minutes before the show tonight. I'm looking up, and literally, there was the moon and 2 stars. 2. That's what kind of light pollution we have here. There was the moon and 2 stars, right? Whatever, 2 stars. You look around, and there's just no stars. And it's the same night sky that you have. And if you don't have light pollution, it's the same night sky. You drive out to Joshua Tree right now, 1 hour from here, 60 miles, whatever it is, 80 miles away. It's the same sky. It's no different than what we have here. You go out there, you see the Milky Way, you see everything just constantly, you see everything, all the colors and purples and blues and crazy things going on in the sky. You come here to Burbank or Los Angeles, and it all goes away. There's nothing in the sky. So for me to look up and see this bright thing like a flashlight pointing back at me, I thought, wow, that's rare. And I immediately thought about grabbing, I use, what do I use? Star what? I use some star program. I use, where is it? Of course, it's not popping up on my phone here, but it's here somewhere. I use Star Mapper, Night Sky. That's what I use. It's right here. Night Sky. And I didn't have my phone with me. So there you go. And I don't know what to I don't know what to say about it. So if you were around here in Southern California, Burbank area, out looking at the moon tonight, did you see it? No, it wasn't the ISS. I get the ISS warnings on my phone. I get them all the time. ISS flying overhead. This wasn't like that, by the way. It was a single spot. It didn't look like the ISS. I've seen the ISS many times with the naked eye. It wasn't that. And it seemed like, this is the thing, I thought it wasn't, when I first looked at it, I thought it was a planet or a star. It didn't appear to be moving. It seemed like it started moving after. It wasn't, my memory, and this just happened. I'm going to look at the clock here. This just happened 45 minutes ago. When I first saw it, I didn't go, oh, it's moving. Oh, that's cool. No, I thought it was a planet, and all I wanted to see was what it was, and I wanted to get my phone on it so I could, check it out. I do it all the time in our backyard or when we're up top. I pull out night sky, because if there's a bright star up there, I want to see what constellation it is or what's going on with it, or if it's a planet, and I'll put it up. And then when I look at it with night sky, I see the whole thing. What it is. It's like I'm looking at the Milky Way in night sky, and I pull my phone away, and I'm looking, there's nothing there. It's just black, right? And I pull it back, and there's the Milky Way with some star and, Cygnus. And I'm like, wow, okay, so that's what that is. Okay. And I pull it away, and there's only one star in the sky. So that's what we deal with here. But it wasn't moving at first. I don't remember it moving. When I put my eyes on it the second time, that's when, it was moving. And then nearly immediately after that, it just went dark. Yeah, it shut off. And I was thinking weird thoughts too. Oh, it was reflecting off of the moon. Yeah, right. Okay. And why did it go dark in front of the moon? There's that. I don't know what I saw. It was pretty trippy. And the other point is, this went to it went from a substantially bright, like you're looking at a flashlight from a distance, right? That's what it looked like, coming back at me. Very bright, to a pinprick of light. You would have never seen this. If you would have looked up after it went dim, you would have never even seen it in the sky. I only knew it was there because I could follow with my eyes. But then it did just disappear. So what does that? What does that? What does that? There's just no explanation for it. It was crazy. Someone just slipped something in your drink. Nope, but I'm drinking now. And it's coming from Jordan, somebody that's wearing a Fade to Black t-shirt right now and a Fade to Black wristband. And he wants to say somebody slipped something in my drink. There you go. All right. Tonight, Tracy Austin is here. And Tracy has her show, The Tracy Austin Show. But she also had her award-winning TV show, Let's Talk Paranormal. And she lives in Las Vegas, home to all the weirdness. She lives there, but she has been doing this, hosting radio and television for a very long time. She's interviewed so many of researchers and authors in the field, and that's cool. And we're going to talk to her about that. But it's the other part. A satellite did go over your area. Well, yeah, it's possible. But yes, John, it's possible. But 3,000 satellites went over our area. And this was going north, by the way. So it's in a polar orbit. Yeah, it went south to north. It's possible, John. It went south to north. East to west, or west to east, whatever that normal route is around the equator. That's something else altogether. But, yeah, find me something in a polar orbit at 6:45 p.m. Pacific time, polar orbit over Los Angeles. Then you've got yourself something from the junk drawer. So that's what we're going to do tonight because Tracy is a host, but she's also somebody that has witnessed not only craft, but other things. And we're going to talk about all of that tonight, which is the epiphany that we all have to bring us to where we are. Our guest, Tracy Austin of The Tracy Austin Show. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. You can follow me right now on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Very simple. At JChurchRadio. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. If you want to hang out in the sandbox, it's hashtag F2B. Questions are hashtag F2BQ. It's Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Tepe.
Natural Health Solutions with Chris and Ronnie.
Hey, Ronnie, how you doing?
Great, Chris.
Now, you're the CEO of GetTheTea.com, right?
Yes, I am.
What is GetTheTea.com? I mean, is this tea you buy in a store?
Well, no, it's not. Life Change Tea is just that, life-changing. Life Change Tea is an herbal tea that gently cleanses your body from intruders.
What do you mean by intruders?
Well, intruders are toxins, chemicals, GMOs, heavy metals, and more. They're in our food, in our water, in our air we breathe.
Seriously?
Yeah, seriously.
And Life Change Tea will help you with removing these, as you say, intruders?
That's right, Chris.
Are there side effects with this tea?
Well, you might lose a little weight. When you clean your colon, you lose weight, you feel better, and you have more energy.
Wow. Ronnie, where can people purchase Life Change Tea?
Oh, that's easy. GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com.
Ronnie, I want to thank you for being on the show. People, don't forget, GetTheTea.com.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Win big with KGRA this summer. Tickets and hotel accommodations to the biggest conferences, autographed books and DVDs, chances to win all-inclusive conference cruises, and private dinners with your favorite KGRA hosts. Click the contest tab at KGRAradio.com for your chance to win big this summer. Your contact for the best alternative talk radio on the planet. KGRAradio.com.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Tracy Austin. This segment of Fade to Black is proudly brought to you by Life Change Tea. Use the promo code FADER right now with Ancient Life Oils and Life Change Tea, and you will get yourself free shipping. Click on the banners over at JimmyChurchRadio.com. Tracy Austin, she was born in England in 1965. She completed various studies at Calden College of Further Education. In 1984, Tracy relocated to London, and a year later to study at the Guildhall School of Music and Drama as a concert pianist and to teach the instrument in a number of schools. Her interest in UFOs first began there when she witnessed a UFO. Her second daylight sighting of an unknown flying object occurred in the May of 1996 and was featured on the BBC digital TV documentary Over the Moon. She told her story, and they reenacted her sighting. Research into the UFO phenomena has been an ongoing process since her first sighting back in 1987, and she has investigated some highly strange UFO activity. Personal sightings of UFOs continue to this day. She's the author of Welcome to Haunted Las Vegas and also Alien Encounters in the Western United States. Tracy's previous TV show, Let's Talk Paranormal, won 3 Telly Awards for its excellence. And tonight, we're going to discuss all of her sightings and what these days of disclosure mean to her and the world around us. Her website is thetracyaustenshow.com. The links are over at jimmychurchradio.com. I'd like to welcome for the first time to Fade to Black, Tracy Austin. Tracy, good evening.
Hi there, Jimmy. How are you?
I am fantastic, but the question is, how are you?
I'm fantastic, too. And listen, it's a real honor to be on your show tonight. I love your show.
Oh, thank you so much, Tracy. And you know, you've been doing some good stuff over the years, too, as well. But thank you for that. And we're going to get into your stuff right now. But before we do, you get the first-time guest disclaimer. Yeah.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Now, next time you're on the show, you're not going to get it, Tracy, but you're going to get it tonight. And this is it. It's you and I sitting on my couch having a conversation as friends. Where the conversation starts, it starts. Where it ends. But we're going to end as friends. All right? You ready?
Right. Okay. I'm ready.
Okay. This is where we're going to start, actually. Normally, I go backwards. I want to start in the now. What in the world is going on? We have disclosure. We have Bigfoot sightings. We have parallel worlds, the Mandela effect. We've got new discoveries in the Great Pyramid in Giza. It's all happening at the same time. What is going on, Tracy?
You know what, Jimmy? I would love to know the answer to that question. That is $1 million question, isn't it? What the heck is going on? This is why you do your show. This is why I do my show. And we have our guests on the show to find out more information of how everything is connecting and what is going on our planet. I think slowly but surely things are being revealed to us. And I look forward to that day when we actually know what's going on for sure. I hope it happens.
What makes you? Yeah, I do. And what makes you say that it's all connected?
Well, I think the paranormal world itself is so huge, and it encompasses a lot of things. And, with my show, Let's Talk Paranormal, we encompass A to Z of the strange but true. I think that everything is connected within that paranormal zone, even though it might have a label of UFO, it might have a label of Bigfoot. It's all unexplainable. Ghosts, you name it, it's all part of the same thing, I feel, of the unexplained that we're trying to explain and find out more about. That's how I feel anyway. And
now what I find interesting is, and you do this with your guests too, but is that I can, and I'm repeating myself, but it needs to be driven home. I can connect Puma Punku, I could connect Göbekli Tepe to 9/11. Right? I can do that. I could connect the Great Pyramid to the Kennedy assassination. If you sit and examine everything, the 6 degrees of separation, it is indeed all connected. And once these dominoes start to fall, they're going to fall quickly, aren't they?
I think so, yeah. And we have a lot of really great researchers out there today that, are experts in their own genre, their own field of work, their own expertise, that are bringing information forward. And I think really it's just a matter of time. I don't know how long that time is going to be, but I hope that it's, in my lifetime, in your lifetime, and in our listeners' lifetime.
Now, let's go back to 1987 with your first sighting. Leading up to that sighting, we'll discuss that in a second. Leading up to that sighting, did you know what a UFO was?
Well, you know what, Jimmy? Yes and no. I had heard the term, but I never really thought about it too much. I had always had an interest in the paranormal, but as a musician, my life was really carved out with 7 hours, 8 hours a day with an instrument. So, it was my profession. I was training to play with orchestra. And so I never really thought about UFOs until it happened.
Right.
So I kind of knew what it was, but I didn't really go into it too much.
Okay.
Great.
Now, in 1987, this happens. So tell us about it. And it was a daylight sighting, right?
Yeah, it sure was. I was actually, I was a student at the YMCA that was just around the corner from the Guildhall School of Music and Drama where I studied. And I was with my partner at the time, who was a guitarist. And we were just having a conversation. It was around about 2:00 in the afternoon. We were just having a general conversation at the YMCA. And there was a wall of windows. There's about 9 windows all the way across one wall in the room. And as we're talking, I'm looking out the window and something grabs my attention. And what I see there in the sky, it was a crystal clear blue sky day. And what I saw was a cone-shaped object that was pointed at the top and it was rounded at the bottom. And it was turning. It was going in an anti-clockwise motion. And I could see that it was made of metallic because the way the sunlight was hitting it, I could see the sun, hitting it, and I could tell it was metallic.
Right.
So I shouted, my partner over to the window so he could see it too. And I said, "What the bloody hell is that?"
Mm-hmm.
As you do. And he said, "It's a UFO." And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" And he explained. And I said, "Well, wait a second. You mean then this thing is being piloted by beings from somewhere else?" And he said, "Yeah, it's either being piloted by beings that have come from another dimension or it's come from our solar system." But we both watched it. It was moving across the sky in an anti-clockwise motion. And we watched it until it went out of sight. And the very next day, we came out of I forget where we went to, but we went on a train somewhere, the subway station. And as we come out of the entrance, there's a guy selling newspapers at the entrance. And right on the front page of the newspaper was the headline, "UFO seen over the city of London." So we knew other people had also seen that very same craft.
Okay, obviously, you grabbed the newspaper. Did you read the article, and was it what... did everybody see the same thing that you did?
Yes, they did. And it was on the Evening Standard newspaper, and it reported where the sightings had been seen and that people were seeing this very strange cone-shaped object. And I've never actually seen a UFO quite like that. Again, that was the only time I've ever seen this cone-shaped object. I've had lots of other sightings, over a dozen sightings, but only that one time did I ever see that particular shaped object.
How big was it? Do you know?
It's really hard to say, to be honest, Jimmy, because of the distance from it, from where we were to where we saw it. But at a guess, I would say it's probably the size of a regular-sized house.
Right.
A single detached home.
What an extraordinary, what an extraordinary sighting. And what about, could you give a guess as to the altitude and what was what were the reports saying about this?
Oh, the altitude, I would say, had to be a few thousand feet up, but low enough that we could see with the naked eye quite clearly what the object was. And the reports were basically, like I said, just saying the same thing that we had seen, the fact that other people in the city of London had spotted this object that was a cone-shaped object. I think, as far as I remember back, it had not been tracked on radar either. So it was very odd. And I can only believe that it was not from here. It's not ours.
What a great sighting.
Yeah, it was. It blew me away. Totally blew me away.
Totally. As you were describing it, before you said cone, but you were describing it turning with the sun going off of it, reminded me of something that I saw similar once. But when I saw this and it was rotating, it was tens of thousands of feet. To me, I thought it was a satellite that was being positioned. It was also during the day. but I could see that it was rotating because the sun would reflect off of it. But yours is different. Yours was a few thousand feet off of the ground. It was not a satellite. It was something that was flying, through the atmosphere close to the ground, and you could see the shape, and you could see the cone, and you could see it turning. And then, of course, you had multiple witnesses across the city of London, all equate to just an extraordinary sighting that was rare, that you happened to be looking out the window at the right moment.
The right moment. I know it was absolute immaculate timing. And like I said, we were just having, I don't even remember the conversation we were having, but it was just a regular conversation. And this thing just caught my eye. And that's when it pulled me in. And it's almost, Jimmy, as if it said to me, you're not going to go down the road that you think you're going to go down, but you're going to go down this one and you're going to find out what we're all about.
You have no choice. You had no choice.
I had no choice. No, I was pulled in. I was hooked. Didn't know what the heck it was, but I endeavored to try and find out. And like I said, I've had over a dozen sightings to date from that very first one in 1987.
Did it when this is an epiphany? Now, in that you were a concert pianist, right? You're teaching, you're instructing, you're in the life of music, the arts, that whole clique, which is what it is, right? That whole scene, and now this happens. What happened to the piano? Do you still play?
Do you know, since moving to the United States 17 years ago, no, I have not. It's like I kind of closed the chapter on the whole music side of things. So that kind of took a back seat. I mean, it's in my blood. It will always be in my blood. But this subject and the paranormal just completely took me down a completely different path.
What about?
And I don't regret it either.
Well, what about at a party? Can you sit down and play the Piano Man and get the whole room singing?
Well, you know what? It's been 17 years, Jimmy. I think my technique is a little bit off these days. But after a little bit of practice, I think I can.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I do the same thing. You know, I have guitars hanging around me, and if I could turn back time, right, but I can't.
Yeah.
Now, back to this sighting. I want to get to your next sighting before the break. But was this it? Was this a turning point? Did you see that your career path and your life's choices were now laid out in front of you?
Oh, my God. Absolutely, Jimmy. I would never have guessed in a million years that my life and what I saw that day was going to be a game changer for me, because that's exactly what happened. You know, here I am, having studied music since I was 8 years of age.
Right.
I knew from the age of 8 years of age, I knew what I wanted to do with my life. I told my parents, I want to be a concert pianist. I mean, I don't know many 8-year-olds back then who would know what a concert pianist was, but I knew what it was. I wanted to be it. I wanted a life in music. I wanted a career in music, and a professional career in music. And bam, this thing just shows up, and it just knocks the stuffing out of me, so to speak. And it's like, okay, well, here we are. Get used to it, because we've now entered your life and things are going to change for you. And boy, did they. Yeah,
because in 1987 and moving forward, those were some pretty crazy years for ufology. You had Whitley Strieber with Communion. Bob Lazar's coming up with, in a very short time with Area 51, MJ-12, Roswell, all of these things, Rendlesham right there, right, in the UK.
Yeah.
All of these things happened in a few short years, and for you to jump into the research, that was, I can't imagine what was going through your mind. How were you dealing with it? And who did you start to go and research first?
Well, it wasn't kind of like an overnight thing that happened where I totally switched off from music, Jimmy, because I couldn't. You know, I mean, I was a student. I had to teach to earn my livelihood, and as well as the whole studying. So it kind of gradually went in that direction, but, you know, and leaving the music behind. But I traveled to the United States. I went over to the Laughlin UFO conference that used to happen every year. It was hosted by Bob and Terry Brown, which I'm sure you know.
Yep.
And so it was a week-long conference. It was brilliant. I mean, everybody loved it because there were researchers from all over the world that would show up and talk about their expertise. So I was in my element. It was absolutely great. And of course, I read the stories out there, the Travis Walton story, the Betty and Barney Hill stories, getting to know the history of how this came about and the earliest sightings and things like that, and just picked most books up that I could find, and especially later on about abductions and things like this. This was a whole new aspect to the world of ufology. It wasn't just seeing a craft anymore and realizing what people were reporting, but reporting that people were actually having abductions. And of course, much later when I came to the United States, becoming really great friends with Dr. Roger Leir, and I hate to say the late Dr. Roger Leir, because that man should not be deceased. That man he was such a pioneer in the whole abduction phenomena that he should still be alive today and pushing this subject where it needs to go.
Right.
So I was brought into all these different angles of these surgeries that he performed right up to his death. I think we were at number 17 of these very strange objects that were removed from people's bodies. And one that I was so privileged, Jimmy, to be present at one of these surgeries that Dr. Roger Leir removed from an airline stewardess many years ago. So I was getting to see all these different angles and aspects to the world of ufology, which I had no idea was a part of.
What did the object look like that he removed?
Well, this was really weird, Jimmy, because this particular object he removed from her forearm was a biological implant. And he said to me, this is so different from all of the others that I've removed because they are metallic. This one was biological, and it was a creamish, whitish, yellowish in color. And it was in two halves, and it was a little bit like a clam. And it had a black strip running right down the middle of it. And this was an airline stewardess that lived in California at the time when Dr. Leir had his surgery in Thousand Oaks. I think it was around about 2003, 2004. Mm-hmm. And my ex-husband was filming the surgery at the time because Roger wanted to have it for his lectures when he traveled to different countries and around the country. And I was just there really for moral support for her and just to listen to what was going on and how she came to find this implant in her body. But this was different, and she could actually move this implant around her forearm. And so he said, well, let's do some tests on it. Let's get some x-rays done, and let's see what it is. So he said to her, this is definitely not a cyst, because if it was a cyst, you would not be able to move it around your body like you are doing. So let's, do you want to keep it in or do you want us to remove it? And she said, no, she wanted it removed. So the day came and she had it removed, and it was quite unbelievable. When you see something like that with your own eyes, and this thing is moving up her forearm, because the two surgeons, there was Dr. Roger Leir and another surgeon in the room, this thing moved up her arm like it had its own intelligence. They had to go in, cut further into her forearm and grab this thing because it just didn't want to be removed. But they did eventually get it, and I was gobsmacked. I was blown away at what I was seeing.
Yeah, I'm just wincing Yeah, just thinking about that because it was moving away, and they had to dig a little bit deeper and cut a little more. Wow.
Yeah. Oh,
wow.
yeah. They had to kind of lift it up like a tent to go in further into the skin because this thing was just maneuvering all over the place.
But they did get it.
They did get it, and like Dr. Roger Leir did with all of the implants that he removed, he puts them in a little vial of the patient's own bodily fluids, so that this thing, doesn't disintegrate or shrivel or whatever. And then he refrigerates it for about 24 to 48 hours to see if there's any changes. And once a person has these objects removed, they do have to sign paperwork. Well, they did have to sign paperwork to say that now is the possession of Dr. Roger Leir. It was a 501 non-profit organization that he had to research these things and send them to laboratories around the country and out of the country to get more information as to what they are and what they're made of.
Oh, man.
But she actually, Jimmy, had this implant in her forearm for 20 years.
And she could move it around.
Oh, yeah. And she said at the time, she was with her boyfriend at the time of the sighting, they had a voice tell them in their heads, go towards the window. They were in a hotel room. And I just can't remember whereabouts they were, but they were in a hotel room. They were told to go to the window. They look out the window, and there is a disc-shaped craft with flashing lights around the outer edge of it. And she said the next thing we remember, there was a ball of blue light that came through the closed window into the hotel room. The next thing we know is it's morning. And so we wake up and we start the day. And she said, and I said to my boyfriend, wait a second, do you remember what happened to us last night? Because we were called to the window, we saw this craft, then this ball of blue lights just came through the window, and we don't remember anything else. So she said it totally freaked him out. She says, in fact, that was the very last time I ever saw my boyfriend ever again after that day. And in the shower that morning, she felt this lump. She saw and felt this lump in her forearm and thought, well, that's really weird because yesterday that was not there. So she kept it in her arm for 20 years. She got no pain. She could move it around, but it didn't grow. It didn't get any bigger. And she sees Dr. Roger Leir on a TV documentary, and she kind of puts two and two together, and she thinks, well, I had that UFO sighting 20 years ago, and I'm just wondering if I'm one of those people that hasn't, I had an abduction and I have an implant in my arm. And so she tracks him down, they meet, and that's what they found.
Wow.
This foreign object.
Now, we need to take a break right here, but did I hear you say that was the last time she saw her boyfriend? That was it?
That was it. That was the very last time.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. I wonder if that's connected. Very strange. Our guest tonight, Tracy Austin of The Tracy Austin Show. You may remember Tracy's show, Let's Talk Paranormal. That's right. She's here with us tonight. It's Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Tracy, what's your Twitter?
Twitter. It's Tracy_show.
Tracy.com,
I believe.
Tracy_show on Twitter. We'll get it up there. We'll be right back.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station. Salt Lake City, Utah. Van Buren, Arkansas.
Hello, Fadernauts. This is Jimmy Church, and I'm introducing New Pharma, a company whose products are based on science. Human function based on the endocannabinoid system, or ECS. New Pharma firmly believes in this science, and their research indicates that support of the ECS provides the beneficial effects for a healthy lifestyle. New Pharma's science includes relief capsules for pain relief, sleep capsules, which are natural support for occasional sleeplessness. Foundation is support for your ECS, and Fit capsules support your active lifestyle. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B for a 33% discount on all of their products. Or visit newpharma.com for all of the knowledge on the science. That's GNUpharma.com. Go back, Lee Tappy.
Hello, I'm Katie Lee, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. Yes. We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
Ancient Life Oil. Life-changing. The real oil. CBD is truly Ancient Life Oil from the source. This oil has no psychoactive effect and is also legal in all 50 states. When you're healthy, you're happy. The truth about this wonderful plant is that it wants to give back to mankind life, longevity, and happiness. Ancient Life Oil are golden grade, all organic, non-GMO, and infused with high-quality liquid coconut oil. It's simple. Just go to ancientlifeoil.com today. That's ancientlifeoil.com. The best, purest, organic, and non-GMO CBD in the world. Go back, Lee Tappy. The statements made regarding these products have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Please consult your healthcare professional about potential interactions or other possible complications before using any product.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. Our guest tonight, Tracy Austin. This segment of Fade to Black is proudly brought to you by River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. That's right, it's dark and smoky. Yeah, I like my coffee dark. Just use the promo code F2B blend, and you will get 15% off of your order. Head over to jimmychurchradio.com. Click on the River Moon Coffee banner. Come and visit us next week at the Conscious Life Expo. Now, Tracy, we had a sighting tonight right before the show. Did you hear about it?
No, I did not.
Yeah, we had a sighting. And right after I sound checked with you, Rita comes into the bunker and says, let's go up top and look at the full moon tonight. It's the biggest it's going to be in our 50 years. Church, get off your fat duff and come up and see something extraordinary. So we go up top, and we're looking at the moon, and it, it was extraordinary. And then, I told the story right before you came on, so I'm not going to, get into great details. But I just looked straight up and, took note that it's a black sky. It's here in Burbank. We don't have stars in Burbank and light pollution. But there was this bright, just like a flashlight looking at me. And I was like, wow. So I reached for my phone to grab my star tracking program, and so I could point my phone at it to see what the star was, and then it just took off and it died out, went to a pinprick, and then went up into the stars. It was trippy.
Wow.
Yeah. Maybe it was one of those crazy satellites, but it looked like it was still when I first saw it, and then when I looked back, that's when it was moving. But nonetheless, it was pretty cool. Now,
fantastic.
Yeah, I know, right? You just love it when that happens. And
I love it.
And then 1996, BBC steps in, too, as well on this. Very cool that you got that. What happened?
Well, let's see here. It was a month before I had actually started to organize my very first UFO conference. And I wanted to do that, Jimmy, because I wanted to find out what the interest was of other people in the town that I lived. It was a little town, Stoke-on-Trent, Staffordshire. We have I think it's about 381,000 people. It's not very big.
Right.
And thought, you know what? I'm going to put on a conference. I want to see what other people's thoughts are about this subject. Well, I found an auditorium inside a library and filled 250 seats this particular day. And the month before all of that had happened, I was, planning for this conference, and I had a sighting of a boomerang-shaped object that flew over my house. And so I went to follow it and to see if I could keep up with it. And it stopped in a local area by some stores. So I pulled onto the car park, and this thing just went into a anti-clockwise motion again on this thing. And it did the most amazing thing. It shrunk down into like a black sphere. And then as it was moving around in a circle, it started to grow and morph back into a boomerang-shaped object. And then it would grow this little appendage-shaped thing in the middle of it, which made the whole thing look like an arrowhead. And so I'm standing watching this thing, and it's flying very low over the rooftops of these houses. And when I say low, Jimmy, I'm talking like, I don't know, a few hundred feet up. It was not that far up at all.
Holy crap.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's okay. Oh, you just I'm going to be rude and interrupt. Let's back up now. Okay. It's almost too much. Let's back up to the beginning. When you say boomerang, I think we can all visualize that. But how big was it, and what color?
It was black, and it was the size of a couple of houses put together.
Wow. So you're looking
quite big.
Yeah, maybe 50, 100 feet across.
Yes.
Okay. So, and how high up was it?
Oh, my God. I would say it was only a few, let's see. I think it was something like probably about 800 feet up.
Wow. It was right there.
Right there. And when I got out of my car to look at a closer look at this thing, there was another car that pulled onto the car park. We call them car parks in England. And they pulled onto the car park, and it was a lady taking her child out of the back seat of the car. I ran over to her and I said, "Excuse me, I hope you don't think I'm being silly, but can you see this object here that I'm looking at?" And she turned around, she got her child in her arms, and she said, "Yeah, I can see it." And I said, "What do you think it is?" And she said, and I swear to God, these were her words, "I don't know, but I don't think it's from here," is what she said.
Wow.
So she then very nonchalantly went into the store with her child. Huh. I stood there watching it, thinking that I can't believe this lady's just walked away from this thing.
Right. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah. So I then ran across the car park to one of the guys that owned the Chinese restaurant and stopped him. And I said, "Excuse me." I said exactly the same thing. "Excuse me, hope you don't think I'm being crazy, but do you see this object up here?" And he turned, he looked, and he said, "Yes, I see it." And I said, "What do you think it is?" He didn't know, and he said, "Do you think it's a hang glider?" And I said, "A hang glider?" I said, "Are you kidding?" I said, "Where is the person hanging from this?" And it's against the law to hang glide in a built-up area where houses are. You cannot do that.
Right. Well, you also do something strange. It's called crash.
That's right.
You eventually land.
Yes.
Right.
So he then walked away into his restaurant. I'm left there looking at this thing. And it started to, as I said, it kept moving around in this anti-clockwise motion in a circle, and it would shrink itself into this black ball. It would then morph itself back up into this boomerang-shaped object, and then it would grow this middle piece. So watch that for quite some time. It started then to move off, and it was heading towards a wooded area, which was called Hanchurch Woods. And if we've got any listeners tonight from the UK, especially from the Staffordshire area, you'll know what I'm talking about with Hanchurch Woods. And there's been lots of UFO sightings over Hanchurch Woods. So I jump in my car, Jimmy, I drive over to Hanchurch Woods, and I park up and I wait for this thing to come over. This thing never came back. It never came over my car. So I drove home, and I had a student that day, that afternoon. I was teaching, and I had a student. I was waiting for my student to arrive. And as I'm waiting for my student to arrive, this thing shows up again over my house. Flies over my house, and it goes over to the house down the street. And it stops, and it does exactly the same thing. It does this anti-clockwise motion in a circle. It shrinks itself down into this ball, morphs itself back into the boomerang, and then goes on further. So when my student arrives, I explain this to her mother, and I said, see if you can see it when you're driving home. So anyway, she never did see it. So what I did that very next day, I had my sighting on the Tuesday, and the very next day I called a local UFO group in the town, and I told them what I'd seen, and what it looked like, and all the details, so on and so forth. And they said, well, leave it with us. We'll check everything with, the airports and all of that, just to make sure that it's, we're not seeing something that's, man-made. Well, I knew I wasn't seeing anything that was man-made because of the way this thing was changing shape. There was no way. So they wait until the end of the week to get back to me. And they give me a call, and they said to me, we checked with radar on the local airports. There was nothing that was shown on radar at the time. But he said the interesting thing was we had a call from a guy who lived about 9 miles away from where I lived at the time. And he left a message on their answer machine. And he said, I don't believe in UFOs. I have no interest in UFOs, but I just want to tell you what I've seen today. He said, I've seen 3 black boomerang objects flying in formation over my house. And they were morphing, and they were changing shape. And I thought, oh my gosh, something is definitely going on, because I'd had my sighting on the Tuesday. This gentleman had his sighting a few days after on the Friday. And I got a call from the group on the Saturday morning telling me that nothing was seen on radar by any of the local airports, be it Manchester Airport, which is one of our local airports to us, and wasn't tracked on radar. And here we have another witness that sees 3 of these things flying over his home. So something was going on.
The size of it, when you first described it to me in the anti-clockwise motion, I was picturing a hang glider as well. But morphing into a ball is one thing, and then changing shape, that's obviously not a hang glider. Second, a hang glider when you see it.
Absolutely.
When you see a hang glider, there's a funny thing that pops into your mind. You say, hey, there's a hang glider. That's cool. We know. Mm-hmm. And that's what I want to make clear. Plus, a hang glider is not 100 feet. It's not the size of 2 houses.
No, absolutely not.
Were you able to, because it was only 800 to 1,000 feet above you, was there anything else distinct about it? Were you able to see any ridges or lights or insignias? I mean, was there anything else?
Not on this, Jimmy, no. It was so smooth. It was completely black. It was very, very smooth looking. Didn't see anything like lights or anything like that. Totally silent. And again, it's as if this thing said to me, have a real good look at me, because what you're seeing is real. Those were those exact words.
Right.
Just like the first one I saw in 87. It's as if it said to me, you're not going to go down the path you think you're going to go down. You're going to go down this one.
That's right.
And you're going to find out what we're about. And this said this to me again. And there's no mistaking what I saw. And, of course, I told a friend who had who was friends with the local group about my sighting, and that's how the BBC found out about the sighting. They came over to the area with their camera crew, and we did a whole reenactment of what I saw for their TV documentary Over the Moon. And
well, let me ask you this, Tracy, really quick. Was it like the letter V? Was it an extreme angle like the letter V, or was it more spread out and more like a straight line that has a little angle to it?
It was more spread out, Jimmy, and it did not go to a V. It was more smooth. It was a smoother edge to it.
Wow, very interesting sighting, Tracy. Is is that segment from BBC Over the Moon, is that available? I'm going to go check it out.
You can try. It was some years ago. I think it was in, let me see here, it must have been, I think it was the early 96. 96 is when I had the first UFO conference. So you could check it out. I'm sure. All right, it might still be.
Yeah, I'm going to go look for it. Now, how did the BBC treat you with this?
They were great.
They
were really great. They believed the whole thing that I was seeing and what I was saying, and they were intrigued by the whole thing.
Now, so that's 2 of a dozen sightings. What happened? Do you remember the next sighting?
The next sighting, let me see. The order of these things are...
yeah, I know.
It's hard to chronologically say what which came afterwards. It was, let me see here. When I moved to California, I was seeing things in the California skies. These were spheres, silver spheres. I've also seen, when I moved to California in 2001, I actually had what I would call the most profound sighting to date. I mean, the other 2 that I talked about were quite something, but this was the most profound. 2001, and I remember it like it was yesterday, November the 13th, it was a Tuesday night, and it was around about 6:45 p.m.
What city?
It was in Studio City, California.
Oh, right down the street.
Right down the street.
Yep.
Coming from a friend's apartment, and in fact, you might know my friend, Jose Escamilla.
Of course. He's a neighbor, sure.
That's right. So we were coming from Jose's home, and we're at the traffic lights. I wanted to get home to see Crossing Over with John Edward. He'd got a new season of shows, The Psychic Medium.
Right.
So I wanted to get home on time to see John Edward. And so we're at the traffic lights. And if you know Radford Street, I'm sure you will, you've got CBS Studios on the right.
Yep.
There's McDonald's on the left. There is a gas station just to the right and a bank building.
And a Ralph's supermarket.
Correct.
Do I know my neighborhood?
You know your neighborhood, my friend. Yes,
Continue. That's a famous intersection, everybody. I'm not, if you don't know that intersection, you don't live in the valley. But go ahead. Oh, and Twain's restaurant right there.
Twain's restaurant, yes.
Forget about Twain's.
Yeah, and it's a crazy busy street.
Yes, it is.
And it was about 6:45 p.m. at night, and I was with my husband at the time, and we're sitting there waiting for the traffic lights to change. And he says to me, "Oh my God, look at that plane. It looks like it's going to fall from the sky because it is too low and too slow." So I sort of bend down so I can see through the windscreen a little bit better. And all we see, Jimmy, are 2 white lights. And yes, it was very low and moving extremely slowly. And I looked at this thing, and I saw the 2 lights, and then a 3rd light came on in the middle. And I said to him, "This is not an aeroplane. We need to pull onto the gas station here on the right-hand side, and we need to wait for this thing to come over." So we pull onto the gas station. We pull the windows down on the vehicle, and we wait for this thing to come over. And oh my gosh, Jimmy, we just could not believe it. This thing was no longer 3 white lights. This thing was an elongated diamond shape craft.
Really?
It was triangle at the front, and it was boat-tailed at the back. It was black as the night, and it had got a row of V-shaped lights running underneath this thing. We were hanging out the windows looking up at the understructure of this craft. It was very low, and it was only be about 400, 500 feet above our car.
In Studio City.
Studio City.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we, Jimmy, had our hands on the door handle. We were ready to go out and stand underneath this thing. And it only stayed for about 8 seconds or so. And so this thing, silent, totally silent, it had an outer framework on the craft where you could see through it. You could see the sky from where the piping was through to the solid object, if you see what I mean.
Right.
And these were cold white lights in a V formation and totally silent. And it moved in this way I've never seen a craft move before. I said then, and I still say it today, Steven Spielberg would have a hard time recreating how this thing moved, Jimmy, because it was like butter in a hot pan, the way it just glided. It didn't bang like an aircraft. It just glided magically in the sky, and it flew off over CBS Studios. So I said to my husband at the time, quick, we need to follow this thing. So we turn on the engine, we follow it all the way down to the LA River. We were up against red lights, traffic lights the whole time. So eventually, as we got to the LA River, that's where we lost it. And I said, well, we have to turn back, and we have to go back to the CBS Studios, to the guard shack, and we have to ask if people had seen it.
You went to the guard shack at Radford?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Sure did.
Yeah. I've got a lot of experience with that guard shack. Okay. What did that guard? I can only imagine. This, for the audience, this is CBS Studios in the Valley. CBS Television Cities over in Hollywood, but this setup over here in the Valley is very, very nice. Okay, it's upscale. This guard shack is surrounded with palm trees. It's on Radford. It's very nice. It's very posh. And so for you to pull up to that guard shack, I can only imagine. I wish I would have been there for this. Okay, so
I'm very brave, Jimmy.
You are. Okay, so you pull up to that guard shack. What happens?
Yes. So my husband goes to park the car. I run into the guard shack. I knock on the door. A female guard came to the door.
Right.
And I said, sorry to bother you. I hope you don't think I'm being a little crazy, but have you just seen a very unusual object fly over your building? And she said, unusual object? What do you mean? I said, well, my husband and I have just had a UFO hover over our vehicle right here on the corner of Radford. As soon as I said that, she said, oh, my God, UFO. And she kind of asked me to come inside. She gave me a piece of paper and a pen, and she asked me to draw this thing. So I'm drawing this thing, and I'm now inside the guard shack, and she's telling me, she's pointing out the fact that they couldn't see anything because the windows are anti-reflective. They're like a bronze color inside, so all you can actually see is yourself. Right. You can't see out. It's like a mirror kind of thing.
Right.
Mirrored windows. And so she says, so there's no way we could have seen anything because our windows won't let us do that because they're anti-reflective. And plus, as you quite rightly mentioned, the property is covered in trees.
Covered in trees. So she said we would not have been able to see it because of the trees. Well, at this point, my husband arrives from parking the car, and another male guard then comes up to us and asks us what all the commotion is about. So we explain what just happened to us. And he said, you know what? I believe you. He said, I used to be a pilot
in Missouri many, many years ago. He said, and I and another pilot friend of mine used to fly over the mountains of Missouri, and he says we didn't quite see what you've seen tonight, but we would see these great big orange balls of light, and they would fly over the mountain ranges, they would stop and hover, and they would wait for us to catch up. He says, and when we caught up with them, they would move again, and the whole thing began as a game of cat and mouse. We just couldn't keep up with them, and this is how it was throughout every time that we saw this orange ball of light. It was a game of cat and mouse. We could never keep up with them. He said, so I believe you in what you saw.
There's two pretty famous sightings when it comes to Studio City. And I'll say this. The audience needs to understand what we're talking about here. The Valley is one big city. The cities, as we name them, Sherman Oaks, North Hollywood, Burbank, Studio City, Universal City, these Van Nuys, the Reseda, I can go on and on. But they're only separated by streets, okay? There isn't forest or woods or cornfields in between them, and you travel to the next city. So it's one big city. Studio City is not very big. It's a couple of miles by a couple of miles. It's very, it's dominated by CBS Studios, hence the name Studio City. Right now, to have two pretty big, now yours is the third pretty big major sightings over Studio City freaks me out. Bashar, the channeler, Daryl Anka, his famous Black Triangle sighting. Daylight was through the 101 freeway, down the 405 and 101 through Studio City. And it followed him up the 101 freeway. And one would say, that's crazy. How come millions of people didn't see it? It's Studio City. Right. It's the Valley. And Steve Murillo had, I believe he was a doctor, give him a video that was shot in front of his apartment building in Studio City of a daylight Black Triangle dead overhead in the middle of the day in Studio City. And it's a crazy video. And the video was so good that the doctor took the video back from Steve Murillo and disappeared. That's it. He will not talk to the UFO community. He doesn't want to have anything to do with anybody. But he saw the video, saw the sighting, called MUFON. Steve was the director of MUFON at that time, to contact them, turned over the video. Steve watched it. We thought that this was going to break out to be one of the extraordinary UFO events ever, and this guy just backed off. Mm-hmm. But these two sightings, just like yours, Studio City, and I can't explain that. Tracy, it's crazy to me when you think about the population, and I've had my sightings in the Valley as well.
Well, it really is, Jimmy. And we thought to us, we said, somebody else has to be seeing what we're seeing here. We cannot be the only people. I mean, the traffic that comes through there every day, like you said, it's Studio City. It's full of people. So.
There's one other thing. We got to break to a commercial right here, Tracy. So I'm gonna jump in as I roll the music. That studio, CBS, that we're talking about, that's where CBS broadcasts the nightly news. That's the news channel. So right there at CBS Studios off of Radford is a collection of those blue CBS news vans. There's like 100 of them right there. And there's a UFO sighting over CBS News, and nobody sees it. I'm totally with you on it. It's fascinating. It's Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Tracy Austin. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. More with Tracy when we come back. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos?
yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires. This year we've experienced more than our fair share. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and last month I decided to make sure my family does not have to worry about food should we get caught in a real emergency situation. Introducing Numana, a healthy, storable product that tastes so good that you'll want to eat it every day instead of just during those times of duress. All Numana products have a 25-year shelf life, are MSG and GMO-free, no preservatives, and are made in America. With the Numana pack in your home, you'll be able to sleep at night knowing that you've protected your family. Not only have I tasted and tested, I own it. Now you can too. Just click on the Numana banner on JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code Jimmy when you order. In addition to a discount, we'll send you an autographed Fade to Black t-shirt. Seriously, go Beckley Tappy.
Do you worry a lot? Whether you're a college student, busy professional, parent, or grandparent, ongoing stress and elevated levels of the stress hormone cortisol can rob your memory, your health, and your future. Now you can combat the effects of stress and anxiety while improving your memory and recall at the same time with the dietary supplement Calm and Clever. Studies show that the ingredients in Calm and Clever reduce cortisol by as much as 30% in 1 to 2 weeks. Call 1-800-758-8746 or calmandclever.com.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
Hi, folks. CBD is the home run hitter for health right now. Why, you ask? Because of what it does for the body. Unfortunately, I can't tell you all about the benefit. You know, there's reasons. Do your due diligence and log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Ancient Life Oil uses organic ingredients and is blended in coconut oil for some of the best benefits. Legal in 50 states and non-psychoactive. Log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back to Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Tracy Austin. And this segment of Fade to Black is proudly brought to you by New Pharma. Click on their banner over at JimmyChurchRadio.com and you can read about all of the science behind New Pharma. Use the promo code F2B and you will get 33% off of your order. Our guest tonight, Tracy Austin. Now, Tracy, last month, you've been into this now since 1987. We are sitting here now in 2018. I don't want to remind you about how many years that is, but that is you and I are the same age, so we don't need to go there. But that's a long time. And last month, in December 2017, this disclosure started to happen. I've been calling it the Days of Disclosure, and that's what we're calling this show tonight. When this started to roll out into the mass media for you, how did you feel?
Well, you know, I've wanted disclosure to happen for a long time, Jimmy, to be honest. I used to want the governments to come clean and say what was going on, that, you know, the population was not going crazy, that we were seeing things in the sky, and coming clean about it. But over the years, I thought to myself, well, don't we already have disclosure, though? Don't we already have that? People know what they're seeing. Do we really need our president to stand there and tell us that, yes, indeed, we are being visited? Do we really need that? I think disclosure is already here. It's among us. Whether the scientific community jumps on board with this and comes forward, possibly. But that's how I kind of feel right now, to be honest.
With our community, I would agree with you. Okay, with our community, I've seen what I've seen. I don't need any Yahoo to step up at a podium in Washington, D.C. to say aliens are here. I don't need that. Neither do you. And most in our community don't. There are some in our community that will always say, until we have that, we don't have disclosure. But then there is the rest of the world outside of our community. That's where we need to start to focus on, and that's what I think that would seal the deal. This motion with mass media, it was extraordinary to see that the coverage with ABC, CBS, Fox, CNN, BBC, Sky, RT, and they're still continuing to cover UFOs today. That they've never done this before. And so now this message is getting out to the rest of the world that doesn't necessarily concern themselves with the subject. They're part of the status quo and they're going to work every day. Is this helping push the message with them?
I think it all helps, Jimmy. And I think, throughout the day of people's busy lives, they're going to work, like you said, they're taking care of their children, they're paying their bills. These things, I think, are entering people's minds. People, I think, are looking up more than they have done. And even the skeptics that are seeing things today are now becoming believers. And it only takes one sighting for someone to really have a good look and say, you know what? I'm getting a really strange feeling from this thing. I don't feel man-made. I don't think it's from here. And they're beginning to understand that. I think we're not alone. So I think it's all helping, yes. I really do. And I think as time goes on, we're going to know a heck of a lot more.
Now, you said to me, and I warned you I was going to go here, so you know what's coming next. We're going there. You told me privately, everybody, and once you do that, Tracy, you open up that door. This is Fade to Black, okay? That's it.
Yeah.
But you said to me, you said, Jimmy, I just don't talk about this publicly, but I think that I was on board a craft. And I said to you then, and you can go ahead and tell the audience, yes, this is exactly what Jimmy said to me. I said, okay, shut up. Stop right there. I don't want to hear the rest of it because you're going to tell this on the air. And I want to hear this firsthand along with everybody else. Now, is that not what I said to you, Tracy?
Correct. That's exactly what you said to me. And I thought, oh, my gosh, here we go.
Okay, so here we go.
I got to spill the beans, right?
Well, what happened?
Well, here's what happened. Before that actually happened, when I lived in England, I actually the same partner I had the sighting with in '87. We moved back from London, and we rented a house together. And one morning, he used to do yoga. He was a very big yoga person. Loved to get up 5 o'clock in the morning, do yoga, do meditations, do chanting, that kind of thing. Very much a spiritual person. And so he'd get up, do the yoga. And this particular morning, I was lying in my bed, and it was round about 6 o'clock. And I knew it was about 6 a.m. in the morning, the way the sunlight was coming through the curtains. We have wardrobes in England, Jimmy. We don't have closets where we hang our clothes. We have wardrobes, us British folk. Mm-hmm. And the wardrobes were, in front of my bed. And so I'm lying there and I'm coming to, I'm waking up from my sleep. And as I'm coming out of my sleep, I see two small figures standing by the side of my bed. These figures were no bigger than, 3 feet tall? And I'm seeing them, one either side of my bed, and they're wearing what looks to be very similar to a monk's habit. And it was made of like hessian or sackcloth. And they got a pointed hood to the garment that looked a little bit like Ku Klux Klan, but it wasn't Ku Klux Klan, obviously. And what was weird was I saw no faces. So here we have 2 3-foot beings standing left and right hand side of the bottom end of my bed with this kind of monk's habit with a hood on it, pointed, and it's just black where the face should be. I see no faces. I start to scream for my partner's name. I start to call his name out loud, and I'm screaming it to the top of my lungs. Nothing is coming out. I have no voice. Nothing's coming out. And as I think I'm screaming the name, this little tiny hand, and I trained as a concert pianist. I'm a 5'2" person. I have small hands. This hand of this being, you could fit inside my hand. And it cupped its hand over my mouth to stop me from shouting and screaming, and pulled me back onto my pillow. And I was out, gone. It was round about 8 a.m. when I woke up. 2 hours had gone. I did not know where those 2 hours had gone, but it seemed like it was 5 minutes from when it happened. So immediately when I woke up again, I threw the covers off my bed, I ran down the stairs, and I went into the room where my partner was doing yoga. And I said, "Oh my God, did you not hear me shouting for you? I was calling your name to the top of my voice." He said, "What are you talking about, Tracy?" And I said, "Oh my God," I said, I've just had 2 beings in the bedroom. And they were standing either side of the bed, and this tiny hand came from the right-hand side, and it cupped its hand over my mouth, pulled me back onto the pillow, and I was gone. I was out. He didn't know what I was talking about. He heard absolutely nothing. So these beings had the ability to switch off my vocal cords. And I know lots of people talk about this when they've tried to scream. Nothing has come out. They cannot get anything out of their voice. So I don't know what happened, Jimmy, in those 2 hours, but that is the absolute truth of what happened to me that day. A few years later, my partner and I, the same guy, we go on vacation to Florida. We go to Orlando. We stay in a motel. And we go to see a movie one night. It was a full moon, a beautiful night. We come home from seeing the movie. I can't remember what the movie was, but again, it was in the early 90s. And we go into the room, and, there's 2 separate single beds in the room. He decides he's going to read a book. I decide I'm going to sleep because I'm tired. He said, "Will this lamp bother you, while I'm reading this book?" And I said, "No, absolutely fine. No problem." So what happens is, as he tells me, and it took him a few years to tell me this, he's reading his book, I'm asleep. All of a sudden, this head of this being pops around the corner from the bathroom in this motel room and looks at him. And it's the shape of a grey. It had a grey head, large black eyes, the typical grey. And it looks at him, and then it pulls its head back. He said, "So I got out of the bed, put the book down, and I went into the bathroom." He said, "And nothing was there." He said, "But I know exactly what I saw." So as the night goes on, he puts the book away, he goes to sleep. He gets up in the middle of the night to get a drink of water, a glass of water, notices that my covers are thrown back on my bed, and I'm not in the bed. So he said, "I look at the bed and I think there is no way that Tracy will go to the bathroom in the dark. There's no way she'll do it." And I wouldn't. And he said, I looked down by the wall in case you'd fallen by the wall. I looked under the bed to see if you were under the bed. Went into the bathroom, you weren't there. He said, I did not know where you were. And he said, I was at this point going to look inside the suitcase in case you'd climbed in the suitcase. The door was locked and there was nowhere you could be. He said, so what I did, I got back into the bed and I waited for them to bring you back. I knew what had happened to you. He was interested in the subject as a child, whereas I never really understood much about this subject as a kid, Jimmy. So he knew. I mean, he used to collect what was termed angel hair from these craft that used to, let this angel hair out of the craft, and used to collect them in what we call a matchbox, and tried to show his parents, ran home to show his parents as a kid, look what I've got. The whole thing disintegrated by the time he got to his parents. So he's been into this subject for a very long time. So he said, I knew what had happened to you, and it was just a matter of them bringing you back. So he said he got into bed. He got tired of waiting, fell asleep. By the morning, I was back in the bed with the covers securely pulled over me. It took him 2 years to tell me that had happened. I had no recollection of going missing in Florida for 4 hours. No recollection whatsoever. It wasn't until many, many years ago when I first came to America, so around about, I came to the US in 2001. It was about 2002, 2003, at the Laughlin UFO Congress, that Nick Redfern's mother-in-law actually regressed me. She was a regression therapist, and we got talking about experiences. And I said, well, I was told this happened. Something happened to me. I'd gone missing some years ago, and I've always wanted to get to the bottom of it, but I never thought I could do regression. And so I went into the hotel room with her. She regressed me. I did go under regression, and I told the story of what had happened. So from that night, when he had seen this head of this being peek around the corner at him, I recall how this thing stood at the bottom of the bed, and I'm starting to levitate off the bed, and I go up towards the ceiling. And I'm saying in the regression, oh my God, I'm going through the ceiling. I don't know how I'm going to pass through the ceiling, but I'm passing through it. And I am in some kind of a room on this table, and there are 5 entities standing around me. 2 on the left-hand side, 2 on the right-hand side, and there's one at the bottom of this table thing by my feet.
Could you see your boyfriend?
No.
Okay.
No, he was not there. And the being that was at the bottom of the table was the taller one. He was more like 5'5", 5'6", like the doctor. And I had gone to bed with a night dress on, Jimmy. But when I'm talking through the regression of what happened to me, I'm naked. I have nothing. I have no clothing. And these 2 on the left and these 2 on the right are looking into my abdomen. And it's as if this doctor being was talking to them, although I didn't hear any words. They were talking to one another telepathically, and it was as if he was teaching them about human anatomy and the human body. And they were looking in at my abdomen. And then they were looking at my legs. And then the spotlight came from somewhere above and then shone down on my abdomen. And the 2 on the left then walk away, the 2 on the right walk away, and the being at the bottom by my feet walks around to me. He asks me how I'm feeling, all with his mind. It wasn't spoken. He asks me how I'm feeling. Am I cold? How I'm doing? I said I'm fine. Very friendly. These beings had 4 fingers. There are 4 very long fingers. And in the regression, she asked me to ask how old this being was, because I'm giving a description. And I'm telling that he's a typical grey, but he looks very old because he has folds. They weren't kind of wrinkles. They were folds that came down on the cheeks. So she's asking me, how old do I think he is, and to ask him in the regression. And I asked him how old he was. And he said to me, you will not comprehend how old I am. It's as if I am your great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, is what he said to me. So we used all of these greats to prove a point of how old he was, which still didn't really give me any age. She asked me then for a name, and I asked him his name. The name was so short, it began with a Z, but I don't remember what the name was. So what she then said to me was, I'm going to take you back to the time that you first met him, because I was telling her I felt like I knew him, and I had known him for a very, very long time. So she regressed me back to aged 5. And she took me back to a point in time when I was with my grandparents in a park in England. It was a day off from school. It was a holiday. My parents were working. And when my parents were working and it was a holiday, my grandparents used to take care of me and my sister. And we went to the park, the local park, you know, with swings and rides and roundabouts and things. And we took the dog. And I am pulled away from my grandparents by this being. This being shows up, same being. And I remember looking up at him. And he tells me that when I am old enough, somewhere in time, I am going to be used for something. But it's not yet. But I will be used for something, and it will be very important. But it's not yet. So when he told me this, I then heard my name being shouted in the distance. My grandparents were shouting me. But it's as if they couldn't see me. That's why they were shouting me. And I turned around and I ran back to them. So as she brings me out of the regression, she's counting me down, 3, 2, 1. And just as she brings me out, he gives me a heart. He gives me a heart. He shows me a heart in front of my eyes. And I don't know, Jimmy, whether he was trying to tell me you're a sweetheart, or there was a love connection. There was family. We are family. But I woke up and I burst into tears. I did not want to leave this being that I had seen and met on that craft. That being to me was family. And it used to choke me up. Every time I would talk about it to people, it would choke me up because it happened. It felt very, very real. And this being was very close to me. So for quite some time, I would always get upset about it. And it's only like, after many years of talking about it to certain people that I'm okay with it. But it was a very, very strange scenario that I'd gone missing for 4 hours. And I'm sure more happened in that 4 hours. But that's what I recalled under the regression with her.
Where were you living at the age 5 in the UK?
I was still living in the county of Staffordshire, still living in the city of Stoke-on-Trent. So I've lived there all my life until I moved to the US in 2001.
What is interesting about your encounter and contact is, and again, I want to make this very brief. My dentist, his mother, British, during World War II, she was 5 years old and went in, they used to go to the air raid shelters, right?
Yeah.
And she's down there one night, and their family always went to the same air raid shelter. And she said there was like 30 or 40 people in this one square room. There were stairs, and they would do a head count and count everybody once they got in there, obviously, right? And make sure. And she said, and then this one night, she doesn't remember. She disappeared. She went down there. They did the head count, and then they went back and she wasn't there. And there's no way, nobody can leave. It's an air raid shelter, right? And then 4 hours later, she appears in the room. And she gets up and she's walking around, and somebody says, "Where you've been missing?" And they couldn't figure it out because it's just a very, very small room with 40 people in it. And she told me, this is what she told me. And now this is an adult now. She's 65, 70 years old. She said, "Jimmy, I was abducted. I went on a craft. I went on a UFO, and I was there for 4 hours." Right? And she tells me the whole story.
Wow.
But it's very similar to what you are telling me now. And, that age, right? 5 years old, this interaction. Right. There's something going on there. I've had my stuff today. I don't know about that age of 5, 6, 7. I don't remember anything specifically happening to me back then, although I've had strange things today.
Right. Well, the thing is, Jimmy, I don't remember much either back then. I do remember as if I was talking to an imaginary friend when I was about, 4, 5, 6 years old. And I always remember talking to something, but I could never see it. And when I first met Mary Rodwell at the UFO Congress in Laughlin, Mary's a great lady, and I had some healing at the time from Mary. She brought up the fact to me. She said, "Boy, what happened to you round about the age 6 or 7? I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Well, I've got a little grey entity here that's telling me he's quite upset because you don't remember him. That he used to talk to you, and you just don't remember him." She says, "And he looks such a sweet little being, and that he used to talk to you, but you don't remember." Well, I didn't remember. Maybe that is the little grey guy I used to talk to, but somehow my mind switched off from it, and it was not to the forefront of my mind. Maybe things have happened to me as a kid, and I've grown up and not remembering some of it. I think maybe something happened to my sister, but my sister is not as open as I am. I'll tell you one scenario, Jimmy, that really, made me think at one point. A number of years ago, my sister lives in the UK. She's a hairdresser. She's a beautician. She's a hairdresser. This is when she lived with my parents. And one day while at work, my dad decided to send her a photograph of her cat, who she absolutely loves. So he took a photograph of her cat and sent it via text to her. So she then sends a text back to my dad saying, "Why have you sent me this photograph?" My dad said, "Well, what do you mean?" "Well, she then said, "Well, why have you sent me a photograph of an alien?" My dad said, "I didn't send you a photograph of an alien. I sent it of Jasper, your cat." She said, No, you didn't. She said, "This is a grey face. This is the head of an alien." So I remember them talking to me about this in a conversation on the phone one time. And I was living out here in the US at the time. And so I asked my sister on Skype, when we got talking about it, to draw what she saw. And she drew a typical grey head with black eyes, little slit for the mouth, and a thin neck that these greys have. There was nothing about that drawing that showed a cat. Absolutely nothing, Jimmy.
We've got to take a break right here. But have you seen the original photograph? Have you had a chance to go back?
No, because when I asked them, they deleted it. And I said, "Oh, my God, why did you do that?"
Yeah, man. You got to love family, right? I wanted to ask you about your family and your sisters because of your interaction. If they've had anything, and I just got your dad and your sister in one pop there. We'll continue this right after we come back. It's Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Tracy Allison. I'm going to open up the phone lines too, so get ready for that.
Hi everybody, this is Rob Halford, the Metal God on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station. Salt Lake City, Utah. Van Buren, Arkansas.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slows circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on the smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRARadio.com.
Hello, Fadernauts. This is Jimmy Church, and I'm introducing New Pharma, a company whose products are based on science. Human function based on the endocannabinoid system, or ECS. New Pharma firmly believes in this science, and their research indicates that support of the ECS provides the beneficial effects for a healthy lifestyle. New Pharma's science includes relief capsules for pain relief, sleep capsules, which are natural support for occasional sleeplessness. Foundation is support for your ECS, and Fit capsules support your active lifestyle. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B for a 33% discount on all of their products. Or visit newpharma.com for all of the knowledge on the science. That's GNUpharma.com. Go back, Lee Tappy. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go back, Lee Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Twitter is out of control. Out of control tonight. Hashtag F2B is what you want to use for the sandbox. And this segment of Fade to Black is proudly brought to you by Numana. Now, listen closely. 24 hours left on the Numana special for the Fadernauts. It's running through tomorrow night, January 31st. Promo code is Jimmy10, Jimmy, the number 10, Jimmy10. We'll get you 10% off of your order. We'll get you free shipping. We'll get you an autographed Fade to Black t-shirt. It is, for every order, over $100. It's the best deal right now going on anywhere on planet Earth for Numana. And you get it. Emergency food storage. You get your peace of mind. You get great tasting food. and you get an autographed Fade to Black T-shirt. You've always wanted the Fade to Black T-shirt, right? So there you go. It's a win-win-win for everybody. Numanna Emergency Food Storage. Okay, now, Tracy, before we get back to our conversation, I'm opening up the phone lines right now, 323-825-5045. We'll do some open lines in this next segment with Tracy. And before we go there, Tracy, the questions that I have here, and they're all interesting, coming in from the audience, and one of them was about your family. You've had all of this contact, going back to 1987. That's over 30 years ago now. And I said I wouldn't say it, but I did. But that's over 30 years ago. Has anybody else in your family experienced anything like you have? And the second question is, why you?
Well, to answer the first question, this is a conversation I've had repeatedly with my family over the years. And I do remember my father telling me he had a sighting with my grandfather in Stoke-on-Trent whilst picking him up from his home one time of a cigar-shaped object. And my parents are pretty much on the fence with all of this kind of thing, Jimmy. So it's been hard for them to, like a lot of people, acknowledge that this is happening and that it's a real phenomena. But my dad did tell me, along with my grandfather one time, that they had together a sighting of a cigar-shaped object. I don't believe my sister has had a sighting. She's never said anything to me. My mother hasn't. But I just find it very odd that time that my dad took a photograph, supposedly of the cat, to send to my sister by text, turned out to be of an alien. I guess this is sometimes what these beings can do.
It's absolutely fascinating. And the other part about this, when you first had the two beings show up in your room, when you couldn't yell, right, when you couldn't speak, were you encountering sleep paralysis too, or could you move?
Let's see. I could not move. I wasn't totally, I wasn't totally unable, but there was a moment. I mean, I could move my eyes. I knew I could move my mouth. I couldn't move my legs too much, and I couldn't move my arms or my hands. But I wasn't rigid. It's hard to describe it, really. But no, I couldn't get out of the bed. I couldn't do that.
And I wanted to say you're in grew up near Manchester, right?
Very close to Manchester, yeah. That's one of the nearest cities to where I lived.
Were you a Judas Priest fan growing up?
No, not really.
There was such the cool metal scene going on. Black Sabbath, DRI. There was a really cool music scene going on up there then.
Yeah, there was. I can't say that I was really a Judas Priest fan, although I, did have a variety of likes with certain types of music. It was quite diverse. Love Van Halen, love Whitesnake.
There you go. Now you're in my wheelhouse. But yeah, that was in 1987. And when you think about the exciting things that were going on, then the Sex Pistols and of course the metal scene and the electronic music too as well was all cranking off back then. That was an exciting time. But I just had to bring that up because you're a musician, and I'm a little jealous. I was stuck over here in Hollywood. So back to this, when you have to ask yourself, why you? Why have you had these extraordinary? This sighting in Studio City is extraordinary. And it seems to me, just like the other sightings of yours, that you were nearly singled out. Not too many people have these kinds of experiences.
No, they don't. And, Jimmy, I've asked myself that question, why me, over and over. I can only keep coming up with the same thing, that being a musician, I have a sensitive side to me as a musician, as most musicians do.
Right.
You know, the way I think, being with music and the frequency of that, and music being a universal language and studying with it every day, and being a sensitive person, I guess, is the only reason that I could think of that might be as to why they've shown up. I'm very open, a very open person. So I don't know. I mean, I can only think it's because of the musician background and the sensitivity of all of that.
Now, I wanted to ask you about, because of your TV show and some of the stuff that you have covered there, we've got to discuss crypto a little bit here. What is your experience in that world? Because there's so much going on, not only with the obvious things and, Chupacabra and Mothman and things of, Bigfoot, but there is something going on there. And I don't know if it's interdimensional, if there's some kind of parallel world thing, if there's a connection to UFOs, but certainly millions of people can't be crazy.
Oh, absolutely not. And it's funny you should mention that, Jimmy, because next Sunday night when we air the show, Let's Talk Paranormal, my guest is Lon Strickler, and we're talking about the Mothman sightings, these flying winged humanoids that have been seen in Chicago.
Right.
Because last year there was something like 54, 56 sightings from February right through to... it was around about end of October, November, that people were seeing these beings, similar to what was seen on the Mothman Prophecies, the movie with Richard Gere.
Mm-hmm.
These beings that had these wings, the red eyes, and, police reports of these things. So we are talking about that on the show next Sunday. So if our listeners tune in, they're going to have a really great show to listen to. And down the road, of course, we're going to do a show with Timothy Renner about Bigfoot. I do believe Bigfoot is real, just like these sightings of this flying winged creature. I do remember a friend of mine living in LA was a producer some years ago. In fact, I think she's still a producer out there in LA. She worked with a team in the UK on a Bigfoot documentary. And you've probably seen it. It's called Bigfootville. And it's been on TV a number of times. And they flew out to Oklahoma because many people had been witnessing this sighting of a Bigfoot actually stride a 5-foot fence, along with a medicine man who had also seen it. Now, I'm 5'2". So when I heard that, it really put everything into perspective of how big this creature must have been to easily stride a 5-foot fence.
Right.
So they all went out and they interviewed these people. They absolutely saw this thing. And of course, they put together the documentary Bigfootville, which has been seen many times on TV. So my ex-husband's grandfather that used to live in Canada, he openly told me about his grandfather that was chased in a wooded area from this thing, so scared and ran so fast from this thing that he blew out his knee. So that's absolute fear. I know. Have you been to ECETI? No.
Okay. Well, you need to go to ECETI. Okay, let's just get that out right now. And you live in Las Vegas, so it's just a hop, skip, and a jump from where you're at, right now. It's up in Washington, James Gilliland's Ranch, which you've heard a lot about over the years.
Yes.
But up there, I've always been on the fence when it comes to Bigfoot. I've been very clear about this. I have, no bodies, no corpses, no bones, but yet we have the Patterson film. And the Patterson film freaks me out because that film is real. I look at that and I just think that's not fake. Okay, my eyes tell me that is a real that is a Bigfoot on a real piece of film. But I'm still on the fence about it, right? So I've got this paradox, right? This obvious thing going on. So, but all of these rumors about Bigfoot showing up at ECETI, some very close friends of mine over and over again have told me about their sightings that they've had up at ECETI. I'm talking about real sightings. Bigfoot looking in the window, asking for coffee. You know, I'm exaggerating, but but like real sightings. And so we go up there, and this is why you need to go. So we go up there, and I don't know how to say this any more direct, but the son of a very, very famous British actor is with us up there. And he, I don't know how to so we come back in the morning. We had left at about midnight, Rita and I, and we come back in the morning, 8 o'clock, and he comes running up and he says, man, Bigfoot sighting. And he comes right up to our car and he says, look, he was right where you parked your car, right here, which is where we parked our car last night, the night before. And I said, what do you mean? And he says, that van, which was still parked next to our car, we were walking out last night about 2 o'clock in the morning. We hear this, whoa, whoa, and I freak out. We stop. There's something out there in the shadows in the trees, and whoa, whoa, and it warns us. We take a step back, whoa, whoa, and it's talking to us. And then we look up, and around the front of the van steps this Bigfoot. He's 10 foot tall. He's hunched over, and he looks right at us. And I was like, what?
Oh, my God.
I said, yeah. And I said, where were you standing? And he said, right there. I said, and where was Bigfoot? And he goes, right there. And I'm talking 20 feet. Not 100, not a mile away, not in the woods, stepped out in the open on this field and turns and looks at him. And at that moment, somebody else had walked up, is sleepwalking, makes a noise, Bigfoot runs away. Yeah. Now, so I'm hearing this, and this is a firsthand account. You know, this is not, you know what I mean? This isn't third hand. I know a friend. I saw, he was on another island or he was over here. No, this happened that morning where we were standing. And
Unbelievable.
And it just makes me step back and go, I know these people aren't crazy, right. and he said he's a magical place, but what do you do with that when you hear these kinds of reports? What do you do?
Oh my God! What do you do? I mean, it's just mind-boggling that people. It's like UFOs. I mean, you're so taken for the moment, and even if you've got a camera on you, you don't think of using the camera because you're transfixed. You don't want to take your eyes off this thing. If you see this and you have a camera, you're not thinking camera. These things do happen. I know, as strange as it sounds, these things do happen. When I used to be a radio host with Women's Radio Network, a number of years ago, I interviewed a guy who lives out in North Carolina, and his property, the border of his property, overlooks the Blue Ridge Mountains. There's about 135,000 acres. And he said to me that one morning he's just outside enjoying the day, and he's piling these rocks and moving these rocks on his property. And he sees this Bigfoot standing by a tree. And he says, I'm absolutely terrified of this thing. It looks at me, I look at it, and I turn my back slowly and I walk away. He says, and he never bothered me. He never bothered me at all. But then he would make repeated visits to the property. This thing was not bipedal. It was not on two legs, Jimmy. It was a quadruped. And he said he eventually started to set up camera equipment to capture this thing on camera. And he actually sent me a photograph at the time that we were doing the show. It was several years ago now. And what I actually saw was this quadruped sitting right in front of the camera. It had got long, thickish black hair, Very difficult to see the face because it was so black, but the head was quite small. And it looked awkward on this big body, but had definitely a small head. And he said it started to accept him, and it would bring gifts. It would bring berries, and it would also bring live frogs. He said, and it would take a small piece out of one of the frog's legs so that it wouldn't hop off, so that it wouldn't, move away.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I've never heard that before. I've never, ever heard that before. And his interest came in 1991 when he was almost run off a dirt road by 3 of these quadruped beings. So, he talks about the fact that they look so magical. Ancient Cherokee Indians will talk about the fact that, do these things come from a different dimension? Because there's no body. We haven't found a body as yet. So are they interdimensional?
Yeah, I don't know. And when we look at the science side, somebody just sent me an email, Jimmy, who was the actor. Okay, you know what? I wasn't even thinking. I was trying to save his identity, but I had him on Coast to Coast, so I guess that part's out of the bag. It was Peter O'Toole's son, Lorcan O'Toole. And, and so when you have that kind of, the family genes behind that, let me tell you, Lorcan's a great actor. He was on Sons of Anarchy, and he's done a lot of stuff. But he's got his father's genes. So when he's telling me and Rita and I this animated Bigfoot encounter, I was right there. It was pretty fascinating. What I wanted to say was the interdimensionality part of this. This is where it gets pretty fascinating. That's an easy answer. Right? It fixes everything. No corpses, no body. But we don't have go into the jungles and try to find a chimpanzee skeleton. Not going to find one, right? It's rare. And so for primates to find a fossilized or a primate skeleton anywhere, it's rare. A chimpanzee skeleton or an ape, a fossilized ape, it's I'm talking rare. We're rarefied air. It just doesn't happen.
Right.
And so that answers scientifically the conundrum that we have, that we don't have a Bigfoot skeleton. Well, you don't have a bear skeleton either.
Right. Yeah, and you know what, though, Jimmy? I do hear this over and over, that these Bigfoot creatures are so intelligent that they even bury their own dead. Now, I don't know the truth of that.
Right.
I don't know the truth of that at all. I mean, it's a question we can ask and ponder over. Well, have we not found a body because they bury their own dead? But I mean, somewhere along the lines, that we're going to have to find something. And I remember listening to a Coast to Coast show with Art Bell many years ago of a hunter that apparently had shot a female and a male Bigfoot in Texas on the Panhandle and buried it and sent Art the map as to where these creatures were buried in the same grave. Did you hear about that?
Oh yeah, absolutely, famous story. And well, that's the beauty of what we do. We are getting closer and closer to these answers. They can only run away from us for so long, but eventually science and everything else is going to catch up, and we're doing that now with science and parallel worlds and fast radio burst and exoplanets, and that stuff is starting to resolve itself now. Like I said when we started the show, what in the world is going on? It's all happening at the same time. When can everybody catch your show?
They can catch the show on Sunday nights, 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern Standard Time.
On KGRA.
On KGRA. Yep, Let's Talk Paranormal.
Now, the TV show, are you still continuing that?
That is on the back burner right now because I'm focusing with the radio stuff for KGRA. We'll bring the podcast back at some point, I'm sure. But I wanted to do some podcasts because I missed doing my TV show that I used to do in California and that was, networked to New York and Arizona. So I wanted to get back into that a little bit. So I did some TV podcasts and did a series of shows there that people can actually see on Patreon.com.
Yeah, they're all there, everybody. And if you go to Tracy's site, the links back to Patreon are right there, too, as well. What a fascinating conversation tonight. And if you had a prediction, and we'll leave with this, as we look to 2018, is this going to be the year? Is this the year of disclosure? Is it going to continue?
Again, Jimmy, that's $1 million question. I would like to think that, yes, it would be. But time will tell. I don't know. I'm on the fence with that one. I think, though, within the next 5 years, I think we're going to be a heck of a lot closer than we are.
Well,
that's for sure.
Yeah, I know. And we're going to find out. And I want to welcome you to KGRA. It's an amazing network. And when I look, this is the thing. KGRA is a family, but you look down at the list of hosts that are on KGRA, and you just have to step back and go, "Holy crap! This is really phenomenal what they are doing over there." And you will see, it's a family, and welcome. It's onward and upward, and like I said, welcome to the family, and let's do this again real soon.
Absolutely, and I couldn't be any more happy to be part of the family, Jimmy, and you just keep up the great work that you do because you are absolutely awesome, my friend.
Thank you so much. I can't wait to get you back on the show. Thank you so much, Tracy, and be safe out there.
Thank you.
Wait.
Yes.
I'm going to delay this 30 seconds. You live in Las Vegas.
Yes.
Give me the quick answer. With the shootings out there, do you think that there's a cover-up?
I had a friend that was there the night of the shootings. Luckily, he escaped without getting hurt. Had to go to the doctor, though, because could not sleep with what was going on. He'd sent certain photographs for us to have a look at, and it seems to be that way, but who really knows for sure?
Yeah, it feels a little smelly to me. That's all I'm saying. It feels a little stinky.
There's some weirdness to it.
There's some weirdness going on. Thank you so much, Tracy. Be safe and be well.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Absolutely. It's TracyAustinShow.com. The links are over at JimmyChurchRadio.com. Sunday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. The Tracy Austin Show on KGRA. I'll be right back. I've got the phone lines open. It's Fade to Black. I'm Real Jimmy Church.
Vivica Fox here, and you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
So you went to dinner last night, you had your favorite pasta. Ugh. Or maybe you had a heavy, spicy meal and it left you. Ugh. Get the tea.com. Maybe you mowed down a huge steak and your plumbing is all plugged. Ugh. Get the tea.com. Our super strength tea will take care of your occasional. Ugh. It's all organic and non-GMO. Get rid of. Ugh. We have so many great supplements, but our super tea is number one. GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting lights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast, radio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hey, can we talk being a few years younger? You know, your hair was thicker, you didn't have so many wrinkles back 10 or 15 years. But you can start feeling and looking 10 or 15 years younger with Nature's Youth RSF. It's a doctor-formulated daily supplement that helps your body make and feeling better. See how Nature's Youth RSF has helped thousands of people, just like how it will feel when your family and friends are asking you what you did to look so good. Your secret will be Nature's Youth RSF. It's time to start looking better and feeling better. Learn more in order.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JimyChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimyChurchRadio.com.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. Great conversation with Tracy Austin, and do check out her show Sunday nights over at KGRA, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. And there you go. Great conversation. Man, great sightings. Excuse me. And we had our own sighting tonight. Unbelievable. I still don't know how to explain it. And was it some crazy satellite flashing and then changing direct and going back up into the, very strange. And it was going from south to north. And that was the direction. I got an email tonight during the show. And I'm going to read this to you. And this is it. Hey, Jimmy, I tuned in a little late tonight at the part of the show, but I caught the end of you talking about what you saw tonight. Just wanted to let you know I saw the same thing here in Virginia at around the same time you stated before your show started. I don't know how it could be the same object considering the distance between us, but it was at the same time and the object did exactly what you said. It didn't move at first, and then it winked out quickly as it started heading north. I also had the exact same thought you did. It must be the full moon reflecting off of it. As soon as I thought that, it winked out. I've seen several of these things over the years, always to the bunker and get the show ready. So it was at 6:45 p.m., and I saw it, like I said, it was directly above us. We were facing north into the mountains of Burbank, and the moon was in front of us. No, we weren't facing north. I'm sorry, we were facing east to the mountains in Burbank. And the moon was in front of us just a little bit in the night sky, up at, I don't know directions, but if you're looking straight up in front of you, it was right there to our right. And then directly above me at 12 o'clock straight up is where this thing was positioned. And it was just sitting there. It was still. I thought it was a planet or a star. I just thought it was too bright. And I was fascinated with that. And so I thought, what bright star would that be? And I reached for my phone to look at my star map. It's called, I think, Night Sky. And I didn't have my phone, which means no photographs. And it only lasted for about 15 seconds. And when I looked back up after I realized I didn't have my phone, I looked back up, and that's when it started to move to the north, and it just went out and then went to a tiny little pinprick and then disappeared up into the stars. And that was it. That was it. It was when I say pinprick, it was a pinprick. And this segment of the show is brought to you by Bearing Optics, night vision, Bearing Optics. Click on the links over at jimmychurchradio.com. So many Fadernauts have got their night vision now, and I can't wait till we all get together and everybody's got their Bearing Optics and we can go and do this together and look at our very own green chrome balls. Contact Alec Hoffman today. All you have to do is mention Jimmy Church when you do. And remember, Alec Hoffman is a Fadernaut. He will guide you through the selection process. And, all Fadernauts that get the night vision from Bearing Optics will get free, only the Fadernauts now. This is it. A cell phone adapter that mounts onto it so you can film and video and take pictures. Okay, so there you go. Bearing Optics. I'm going to keep the phone lines open. 323-825-5045 or 323-275-9695. Let's go to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hey, Jimmy, this is Tony from Oregon. How's it going, man?
Hey, Tony from Oregon. How's it going with you?
Oh, it's good. Just trucking up the 5 heading north to Portland. I think I saw something pretty weird, too, crossing over from California up into Oregon. It was off to the west as I was going north on the 5 to, maybe one object, but it had two big bright white lights on it blinking at me like it was winking at me like a deer in headlights or something. But
what time, Tony?
Right before your show, like you said, just a little while ago, a couple hours ago.
Oh, very interesting. And now the object that I saw was going to the north. And so it was to the west of you, but was it heading in a northerly direction? The 5 is a north-south freeway.
Yeah, I was heading north. It was either moving real slow or sitting still for, periods of time. But, I shined my little laser at it to see if I could get any kind of response. But, nah. But anyways, that's not why I called, Jimmy. I sent you an email with a video that I took of something crazy and huge. And I was wondering if you could check your email from December 21st and see if it went through.
Okay.
The email it came from is othertrucker@protonmail.com.
Okay. You said December 21st? All right. All right. You know what? I'll do it right now with you, man. Just stay on the line. Let's go back here. December 21st, 2017. Okay. Here we go. December 21st. I've got everything right here. Okay. December 21st. Please watch the attached video from Tony. Yes, I've got it right here. And, I did watch these videos. Yes, I did. And I will, let me watch them again. I watched them all. Okay, just so you know, I remember these.
I think I accidentally sent the same one like 4 times. I don't know how I did that.
I have it here. 1, 2, 3, 4 videos. Yes, and
it should be 1. I screwed something up, but yeah.
Right. Well, stay on the line and don't go anywhere. Let me mute. Okay, so here we go. I'm watching the video now. And yes, I remember it now. Okay, now listen. I watched this video about 20 times. Okay, Tony?
Yeah.
Let me mute this. I watched this about 20 times. Let me ask you, I was very tempted to contact you to post this online. Did you shoot this video?
Yes, I did.
Okay. I want the audience to understand what we're talking about here. What it appears to be, and I want your description, Tony. It looks like a giant, and when I say giant, I'm saying ginormous, saucer-shaped craft with a light on the bottom of it, and it's got a ridge around the middle, and then it's got a bottom and a top, and it's massive, and it's black. I'm going to say, and when I first saw this, this is what struck me. This looks like it's probably 500 feet wide or bigger, and it.
I started work at 4 o'clock in the morning back in that time, driving for Pepsi, and I couldn't sleep. I kept waking up, going outside for some reason, and about the third time, I went out there and saw that going on, and watched it for a few minutes, and then I went back in the house, got my phone, and came back. It was still there. Started filming, and I don't know. It was either it's the size of a school because it was only a couple miles behind my house in this empty mesa, and there's nothing out there in that area, and it was something that came down and made a big dusty mess, or it came out of the ground. But if you look closely, you can see something coming off it, and like swirling, kind of like from the War of the Worlds kind of thing, you know?
Right.
And also, if you zoom in and look closer at the size of it, I don't know, it just blew my mind. I had my little laser, and I pointed it at it. You can see a green beam go to it, and that's only a 5-mile laser. So it had to be less than 5 miles away, and that would give you a better perspective on the, size of that thing.
The video, and it's just like, that is a massive craft. But now, it's not the craft, that there was a light on the bottom of it. Did you, it looked like it, no. It's on the bottom center of the craft. I don't even know what to call that, but there's something white coming out of the bottom of the craft that's going to the ground. Also, is that a freeway? Because I see a lot of car traffic.
Long, lonely road out there by the mesa.
Okay, but there's cars driving on it. I see your laser here. Right. But that's only briefly. That's way after. No, at the very beginning of the video, there's a white light on the bottom of it, right where that white tentacle thing. Now, also, this is something else that's really weird about this video is it looks like there's something going on the ground. What do you think that is?
I'm not, spruce it up, do some contrast, and I did what I could enough. I know you probably got some good equipment or know somebody who could take a good look at that. Like I don't know, what's that optical physicist? What's his name? Maccabee.
Well, there's Maccabee. Mark D'Antonio would be another good guy for me to send this video to for sure. It's an incredible video, Tony. There's no doubt about it. I watched it 50 times back to back. It's disturbing, It's a fantastic video. There's no question about it. There's something here.
Oh yeah, I see this stuff all the time, man. Since I was born.
Well, and plus you saw the object that I saw tonight, but that's pretty cool for me. Email from Virginia. You saw it from the 5 freeway tonight. Yeah, that was pretty obvious, and thank you for calling in. So I will be in touch with that, and I'll send it to a couple of professionals out there and see what I can get back as far as analysis goes.
Yes, sir. Do what you got to do. You got my permission.
Thank you so much, Tony. What kind of truck you driving?
It's loaded. Yeah, it's an owner operator. 2 bunk beds.
Thank you, Tony. Great video. I'll be in touch.
Thanks. All right. Take care.
Thank you. Yeah, the video is extraordinary. Everybody. This was sent to me from Tony, and it's funny that he brought it up because I watched this thing 50 times. I get a lot of videos and images every single day, and I try to keep up on it, and I try to respond back and try to reply. This is one of those that I watched and watched and watched, and I'm glad that Tony reached back out and gave me his permission to go ahead and have this analyzed and stuff. So I will do that, and then I want everybody to relax, and then we'll get it up there on YouTube and for everybody to see. But this is somebody's private property, and you just can't post it up there and then let everybody else start, spreading it around on the net. It's just an uncool thing to do, and I wouldn't do that. But did I watch this? I watched it over and over again. What happens in this video? I didn't know this, but he said it's early in the morning. and you can see that he's shooting out on his property and then he moves to he backs the camera up, and then you clearly see, I'm going to freeze it right here, when he backs the camera up on the left side, it's lit up because the sun is coming up, and then right dead smack in the center of the screen is this cloud bank, and to the left of the cloud bank it's fuzzy, by the way. It's not crystal clear. It's fuzzy, and it's sitting there, and it's hovering, and it's moving from left to right in, to guess here and say, it's not very far. Probably, I don't know, a mile away, 2 miles away, maybe a half mile off of the ground. It's not light-colored. It's hard to make, and then you see this little white light blinking a little bit off to the right, and that's what the video is. And he zooms in a couple of times, and when he zooms in, you can see there's 1, 2, 3 definition on the bottom of the craft. I don't know how to explain it, but it's there's things going on, and then there's a middle ridge, and then there's like a dome top, and it's massive. It's massive, and it's a physical craft, and it's black. It's black. Nothing discernible about it. There's no markings or anything. It's fuzzy. Everything in the video is fuzzy because it's early in the morning. It's a nighttime shot, with the sun coming up. But it's pretty. And with your permission, I will send this off and get some analysis done. But it's pretty incredible. And combined with that's very interesting. So I get this email from Virginia from Eric about tonight. So if anybody else saw anything tonight at around 6:45 p.m., I saw it at 12 o'clock, straight up, 6:45 p.m. I looked up again. It started to move directly to the north, and then it turned out its lights. And it faded out, by the way. It faded out. And this is Rita's description, as she's standing next to me. She was watching it too. Said that it's fading away. It's disappearing. And I said, well, I can still see it. Let me follow it. And she wanted me to look at something else. I said, no, it disappeared. And it looked to me, because it was getting tinier and tinier and tinier, that it was moving up. That it was moving up and away from Earth and moving out into the atmosphere. That's what it looked like to me. That's what I saw. I got email from Virginia. We just had Tony on the 5 freeway up headed towards Oregon. He saw the same object at the same time. So there you go. If anybody out there saw this, please contact me. Today is January 30th. So it would have been 6:45 on the evening of January 30th, 6:45 p.m. Pacific time. And what is interesting in speaking to Tracy tonight, when I was asking her to, recall these certain events in a row, and while she was telling us about her experiences and her sightings, I started to think, I would have a difficult time too. If not that she had a difficult time, but if somebody was asking me, okay, what did you see first? I might forget a few things, because my first real sighting was all the way back in 1995 up in Monterey, California, 96. And then moving forward, my next sighting wasn't for another 10 years until 2008, 2009, when Rita and I had our sighting over the valley. Our white ball that came straight down into what looked like downtown Van Nuys. And we saw this as we were driving down from the mountains in the valley. Clearly saw this, the city in front of us and the city lights, and we saw this light descend very rapidly into downtown Van Nuys. I thought it was going to explode. It did not. I looked for reports in the news. I reported it to MUFON, to Wolf McCarran, but never heard anything else about it. We had a couple of other eyewitnesses that saw something that night. And then, it's just like strange. It's like, okay, so what happened next? And I have to stop and think about things. I'm not so sure if we had anything in between. I would have to ask Rita this. In between that, which was 2009, and going all the way up to 2014 and 2015 in Joshua Tree, California, 2014, 2013, 2014. The next sighting that I had was with the Fadernauts out at our cabin in the desert out in Joshua Tree when we saw that light ascend from Earth up to, right? And so it's hard. And I have to actually go back and start to think about these things and see if I can get them in order. And maybe I should think about writing these down because I keep going back to memory, right? So and for Tracy to have her 3 sightings like that's pretty dramatic. And again, over the San Fernando Valley in Studio City. This is a heavy populated area. She's not the only one to have these sightings, and we've had ours out here too. But there's something about this part of the valley. We were contacted. I'm going to have to run here, but we were contacted last year from somebody that has not returned emails since then about watching from their house in Sunland up on the mountain, watching black triangles over the 101 freeway over Sherman Oaks with binoculars, and would see 2 or 3 at a time at certain times of the day, and they would fly away and disappear. And they witnessed this for about 2 weeks. And I tried to get this witness on the show. And when it got to that point where I thought we were having a comfortable dialogue between the two of us, this was 2 years ago, stopped. And I don't think the email is any good anymore. And I thought that this was something that was extraordinary enough to not only bring on the show, but we need to find out if there are other witnesses at the same time seeing these same objects over the San Fernando Valley. Exactly where Bashar had his sightings, exactly where the doctor had his UFO video that was shot over Studio City, and also exactly where Tracy Austin, where she was talking about tonight, the exact same location. And there's something going on here in the valley. There's no question about it. All right. Thank you, Tracy Austin. Great conversation tonight. Her show, The Tracy Austin Show, Sunday nights on KGRA. Go and check it out, TracyAustin.com, TracyAustinShow.com. Fade to Black's executive producers, Rita Kamarian. Show is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitoa, Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster, Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy. SpaceboyMusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. Syndication, KGRA, The Planet. This broadcast is only copyrighted 2017 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tomorrow night, right here, Dr. Stephen Greer. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Until tomorrow night, everybody be safe. Go Beckley Tepe.